our gut is the second brain.
Mm-hmm.
Our intestinal tract has, I have to look and make sure I get the number right, 100 million nerve cells. 100 million nerve cells in our intestinal tract. That is about the equivalence of what is in our spine.
Wow.
We think about our spine as being that communication factor and all the work it does. And then when we think, oh gosh, our intestinal tract, the second brain. Now, many people are saying the second brain is the heart, or really that maybe the heart's the first brain. but our intestinal tract is like huge.
Yeah.
It's critical. So, and when I went back and started learning more about that piece of it, it's like, oh, so that is even more of that connection between the gut and the brain. It's, all the cellular activity, all the nerve activity giving information back to the brain, just as the brain gives information to the gut. And we'll talk even more about that when we talk about brain health and concussion care and that kind of stuff in the future. And just that, we want to not eat too late before going to bed, because when we're sleeping, our body, everything slows down. And so if it's overwhelmed with trying to digest when we should be sleeping, it's like, okay. So it's just those little things. Dietary, people don't like to hear this, but a couple of the key things food-wise is if we're not feeling good, actually before we even know we're not feeling good. But one of the pieces for food is wheat. So the wheat of today is not, their glutens, it's not the wheat of pre-World War II. Things are different. And so wheat is inflammatory for a lot of people. Like, I almost want to say most people.
I would say, I know for me, I have an upper limit of wheat. I'm not celiac. I'm not allergic to gluten. I can eat it just fine. But there seems to be an upper limit that if I hit it, or a combination of wheat with sugar, wheat with dairy, any of those inflammatory foods together, I know my body has a tolerance point. If I go past the tolerance point, I don't feel great.
Yeah, exactly. And the wheat, pardon me, one of the things, we don't have the proper digestive enzymes to fully break down the wheat of today compared to the other piece of it is, even if we tend to be one who can digest wheat fairly well, the other piece is that wheat is, when they plant, they use products in there, glyphosate being specific, that aren't healthy for us. So the glyphosate is meant to help, kill the bugs so that it doesn't, destroy the wheat, and so that we get a higher yield for our farmers. Unfortunately, the glyphosate is detrimental to the human body. And not only when they plant, but also when they harvest, they spray with glyphosate because it's a desiccant. It dries it out. And so, everything's about grow bigger, grow faster, get it out there. And so, and I understand for our farmers, but for the body, it's not healthy for us. And many of you have probably heard that Monsanto glyphosate specifically has been attached to a couple of different types of cancers as a strong contributing factor. So, and the glyphosate creates leaky gut. It contributes to our leaky gut. So how do we heal that gut so that we don't have the toxins going into the bloodstream when we're consuming something that keeps contributing to leaky gut? So again, it's just another piece. And then many people who are having difficulty with wheat, with the inflammation from wheat, can be sensitive to dairy. Dairy and wheat have proteins that are very similar. And so the body then, when it's busy trying to fight the inflammation from the wheat, can, again, start to get confused, and it sees a protein that's so similar that now it's starting to give us issues with, we have a sensitivity, a food sensitivity then to the dairy as well. So for people who are really struggling with their health in general, but with digestion, then my recommendation is to give it a shot. Try going off wheat for a couple, 3 months. I've had so many clients that come to me and when we start working together and they've just been really, had digestive issues for a long time, or they've been just generally sick. I said, okay, let's try it. Oh no, I don't have a problem with wheat. And then they go off of it for 3 months. Mm-hmm. And when they start to eat it again, and they're feeling better, when they start eating it again, it's like they feel like crap. I mean, they just feel terrible again. So sometimes it just takes some trial and error for us to kind of figure out what some of our food issues might be.
Mm-hmm.
So
no, I had a functional medicine doctor encourage me. So I was having some not major gut health issues, but mm-hmm. some stuff. The biggest symptom was really that I was breaking out on my neck under my jaw. And they were like, you know what, just pick gluten, dairy, or sugar, cut it out for 30 days.
Yeah.
See if you feel better. And then if you do, try slowly introducing it back in and see what happens. If you don't feel any different after cutting one of them out for 30 days, pick another one, cut it out for 30 days and keep going until you kind of find out what's happening. Let's start there. And that was when I think I started to really notice, there's an upper limit. I chose dairy because it was something I had never consciously tried to cut out before. And so for me, and I wasn't super strict. I'm pretty sure I still had sour cream and cream cheese because I was like, no, I'm not giving these up. It makes it hard. I just wanted them. But I stopped eating cheese. I stopped eating or having cow's milk. And I definitely was not perfect with it, but lowering that amount was enough for my body to really start to feel better. And that's when I kind of started eating. And again, I would put it together of, okay, I can still have mac and cheese if I want it, but what else have I had that day? What else have I had that eat? Should I have mac and cheese every single day? No, gosh, no. I love bagels and cream cheese. Should I have one for breakfast every single day? Probably not, because I have, and I haven't felt good just because it's that upper limit for myself.
Right. And we're all different. So. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have to figure out what those are. There's another way. I don't have time to teach it now. If people go to my website, which is brainworksforlife.com,
which will be linked in the show notes.
Okay, great. There is, I had been asked to be a contributing author in a book that has become an international bestseller.
Yay!
And so the chapter that I was asked to write was about healing the brain. It's like, well, I can't do that without, including healing the body. So it's a healing the body to heal the brain is the name of the chapter. But at the tail end of that chapter, I put in a way that people can test foods to see if they're sensitive. So awesome. It's a worthwhile book because there's 19 different practitioners that all talk about different areas of healing. So if you go to the website, there's the link to Amazon. I don't make anything off it. I just did it as a labor of love. So it would be a good way. There's some information in there.
Yeah, we definitely can't get through everything. I've really appreciated how you've gone and you've broken down the digestive system and what those different steps are, because I think having that understanding does help us be able to know a little bit more of okay, where within that process am I potentially having an issue? And when you also know what all those other things that are being impacted by poor gut health, poor digestion, it makes you go oh, okay, I know I've struggled with anxiety before, and waking up and just feeling anxious for no reason is not a fun feeling. And I think way too many of us are experiencing that way too often. And so being able to know okay, there are things I can do without having to go see anybody, without having to spend extra money or just have to really take that much more extra time out of my day makes a big difference. And when you know what that impact can be, it makes it so much easier to do the thing, thinking, okay, well, not only am me chewing my food more going to be good for my digestion, but it's also better for my immune system. I've got little nieces and nephews who I love and adore, but they're little germ factories. And so if my immune system can be strong, that's fantastic. And my again, mental health, like being able to have that understanding of how it's impacting your everyday life makes you more likely to do that. So I've really, really appreciated that. Where can people find you on the internet if they're listening to the podcast to be able to get some more information? You mentioned your website. Are there other resources that you have?
So I'm on Facebook, Brainworks for Life, Instagram, Brainworks for Life. And I am starting a YouTube channel. It's not fully up yet, but I will start, like I've recently done a masterclass for brain health and concussion care. So initially I'm going to have that available, pardon me. Initially I'm going to have that available for people who had registered for the podcast or for the masterclass, but weren't able to attend because of their schedule. But eventually I'd like to make that open for your listeners so that they can, because I had time to go into way more detail in brain health. So, but yes, I'm starting a YouTube channel under Brainworks for Life. So, and if anyone has, wants to get a hold of me and maybe just have a call and say, hey, is this something that would be beneficial for me? Then if you go to the website, there's a contact and it'll send a little email to me. And then we can schedule a quick call. Say, gosh, maybe there's something more. And then also on your in your show notes, I put a free download.
Yay!
This one is for brain health in particular, but it does include some foods that are the nutrients that we need, and then some foods that may help contribute and take care of that. So that is, oh gosh, I'll think about it. It's brainworksforlife.com/brain if you just want to go directly to that and download that.
Awesome. Yeah, those will be linked in the show notes. So scroll up, down, left, right, wherever you need to on whatever you're listening to this on. And yeah, the podcast is this recording of me and Sandy. If you want to see faces and you want to see me make all the funny faces as I'm getting called out by the things that I do, you can go watch the YouTube video, which is super, super fun. And I know, Cindy, you're going to have so many amazing things up there. I have really, really appreciated all the knowledge that you've shared for this episode so far. I know we've got 2 more topics that we're going to be talking on. One thing I want to also thank you for is sharing your experience in the more kind of Western medicine field of, yes, doctors are great. The ER is fantastic. There also is a lot more to health that is unfortunately not always taught in med school or nursing school or PA school. Not that those people are not incredibly intelligent and very, very good at what they do, but hopefully some of this information that you're sharing will help empower people to either seek out different practitioners and different experts or be able to kind of pester their doctor a little bit more to get the help that they need.
Right. Yes. Yes. So. Well, thank you so much, Chelsea, for the invitation to join you because I love your message. I love what you're doing. And you help to empower people.
Thank you.
And that is in many ways. That is in self-care in general, but then where does that go beyond it? Because I know you've got a lot of people that have come and guested on your podcast that have so many different messages. It's not just about, oh, go sit in the trees and meditate.
Yep. Sometimes it is.
But sometimes it is. And that's what I love to do when I can get the time to do it. And I think that does help us step more inside of who we are when we can do that. But sometimes there's just not as much time. So let's pick the things that we can do. Chew our food.
Yeah, right. I will be chewing my lunch much more than I normally do. At least I really hope I follow through with that. I'm going to feel so guilty.
It took me time to learn. It wasn't until I went back to school for nutritional therapy and learned everything, that we talked about today. I was the ninth of 10 kids. You eat fast.
You got to eat it or you're not going to get it.
And then as a nurse, you only got 30 minutes to just shovel the food in. So we all learn when we have that opportunity to learn and make those changes,
I love that. Well, I'm so excited for our other 2 episodes. I'm so excited for all the information you're going to share.
So yeah, we'll talk about concussions in one, and we'll talk about cellular health and how to clean up our bodies in another one. So
yay!
It'll be fun.
Perfect topics.
All right. Thank you so much, Chelsea.
Thank you.
I'm really grateful.
Thank you for listening to the Mindful Self-Care Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review wherever you're listening to podcasts. You can also send this episode to a friend who you think would benefit from the information. It's a great way to help us grow and help us reach more people. If you want to connect with other like-minded self-care focused individuals, you can follow us on Instagram at The Mindful Self-Care, or you can join the Mindful Self-Care Society. It's a great place to connect with others, gain some additional resources, and really help make sure that self-care is a focus in your life so you can always feel your best. Thank you again for listening. I can't wait to be back in your ears soon.